He has completed his bachelor degree here from here as well. He has done his PhD from here as well. And he's a symbol of Bangladesh. This is one of the things, this is how we consider. And we are very blessed to welcome him to the MH Global Office. Obviously, I'm sure that he has some sort of experience that what MH Global Group has been doing over the years of time. We two brothers, me and my younger brother, came here back in 2012. From the journey, we started operation and planning to do something for the education. And this is how we have grown up. At this stage, our company became the largest company here in the UK, empowering UK education to all over the world, not only just in the recruitment side as well, also expanding the UK education to other countries as well. We are proud to also tell you that we've been working very closely to expand the UK education in Bangladesh, to integrate the UK degrees in Bangladesh as well. We came recently, over the years of work, we came very closely to Army Warfare Trust and the UGC to have the first UK degrees in Bangladesh under MIST, and it will follow to have an independent university in Bangladesh, UK university in Bangladesh. What we are planning actually to see that the UK education should not have a gaps between the world educations. This is how we are to closely work to engage the UK education to the Bangladesh education system and to the transnational educations and all the to change the facilities and everything so that our education system should not have too much gaps around compared to the all over the world. At this stage, our HS is considered according to the United Nations is equivalent to year 7, and according to the Singapore government, our bachelor degrees compared to the Bangladesh education system, and it is considered to the Singapore education system equivalent to A level or below A level. So this is our education system. Obviously, over the years of time, we had a lots of ups and downs. That's why actually our education system continuously is going down. But we as MH Global Group invested huge amount of money on this project over the years of time, just from the point of view it is, from the point of to do something in Bangladesh, we started this project. And we are hoping very soon that we'll have a foreign degree, foreign education system in Bangladesh, which will be affordable to the students of Bangladesh staying in Bangladesh. So we will continue working in the education sector, in the numerous, we have seen different companies working in these different aspects of the education systems. Along with this, as I'm sure that my brother, Mr. Captain Akem will talk a lot about this. We today not to have too much talk on the what we are doing and things, but we want to have the spirit that a person, how a person become an institution, how a person become a symbol of Bangladesh. Before we go ahead to listen from him all about his whole journey that can inspire so many youngsters today here. And I would like to spend some time to Mr. Captain Akem who can be able to share a bit, and then we'll go ahead to our honorable chief guest of the event. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, my greetings to all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is not just a reception event, I would say. It is just an evening to bear the witness of a living testimony of a courage, to celebrate a safe return hero, our Shahidul Alam, who looked into abyss of injustice in the world. When Shahidul Alam set sail towards the Palestinian waters, I tried to connect Shahidul Alam. When I failed to connect, it was a painful situation actually. I messaged personally, but seeing the TV and these YouTubes and the messages, it was really painful. He carried hopes for oppressed people. He carried the conscience of the whole world. He carried the whole world to show the brave is not extinct. He showed the conscience is not dead. He went to save the people who are oppressed and suffering from hunger. He went for humanity to save them who is already forgotten. He went there to save from the humanity, from paralysis of inaction in war. I can just recite a verse from Holy Quran, Surah Maida, verse number 32. It says that man qatala nafsan bighayri nafsin aw fasada fil ard faka'annama qatala nafsa jami'an. What it says, when actually a person is killed, that means is equivalent to killing the people of whole world. When a person is saved, the later verse is saved, that means you are saving whole Ummah, every people of the universe, all the people in the world, you are saving. Our Shahidul Bhai, who had such a journey, he carried the knowledge that this risk of life, he carried the knowledge, he knows very well that he may not be able to return. He knows he will not be able to see beloved family. But he contributed to Shahidul Bhai. We are in awe of you. You are our legacy. You are our pride. You are a living hero. Now something we have to tell our next generation that in our time we got someone. We are no more with empty platitudes. We have a story now. Why today this event actually is hosted by Dr. Mustafa Foundation? Many of you know that the legacy and the vision of Shahidul Bhai is very much close to this foundation's vision and mission. Centuries back, tradition in the world, across the continent, thousands of organizations or foundations, they consider that the world can be changed by donation by money. But at Mustafa Foundation, we have taken a different course, an alternative strategy that world should understand humanity cannot be accessed by money, only it can be expressed in action. The action the hero has shown us. The way we should look into that we have a campaign, a 5-0 campaign. We want to see a universe. There should be no beggars, zero homeless, zero illiterate, zero death without treatment, and zero unskilled people. The philosophy behind it is that money can fund aid, but money cannot buy dignity. Money can build wall after wall, but money cannot build humanity. Humanity only can be expressed in action. So that is the main campaign. If you change, if a person change, like Shahidul Bhai, if you change, your family will follow. Your family will inspire your neighbors and the communities, and communities will transform the nation, and we can see the better world. That is the teaching we have here. So to transform this whole world, we can tell our next generations that we have acted with courage and transform the world. We need to change ourselves. If you change, if I change, if we follow Shahidul Bhai, so really we can see a better world, inshallah. To start, I think we'll be in between showing our 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes clip about the Mustafa Foundation. We'll request Shahidul Bhai is a perfect ambassador for our 5-0 campaign, global campaign. We are presently working 58 countries in the world. Some countries, you know that people come out on the street while they hear some of us visited like African countries. So we'll be keeping and requesting our Shahidul Bhai to be another ambassadors of our 5-0 campaign. And we'll be hearing the stories of Shahidul Bhai, how he has experienced and what is the roadmap that we should proceed in future to have a better world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we have 2 more guests as well. I just want to let them take opportunity to let them introduce. We had introduction each other, so because of you guys join later.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Dr. Islam. I am a barrister and a solicitor, working with Diplomatic Solicitor as a partner. Anything else?
No,
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, and as well.
My name is Asad Zaman. I'm a barrister and solicitor, senior partner of Law Matters.
Yes, we are very wonderful and we are very grateful to have these 2 guests as well today evening. Right, without further delay, we are going to get the very inspiring, inshallah, speech from our brother Shahidul Alam. In his whole journey of life, we have seen his dedication, his hard work, his journey. He's not only a journalist, alongside he's a writer as well, alongside he's been working for the humanities and the world. He has a great contribution in our democratic policy in Bangladesh. And he has been tortured, he has been arrested back in 2018 in years old. We got so many young stars today here to listen from you. We kindly will make a dua for you, inshallah. But we have to hear from you that what is the journey, how the people can take from your life, what could be an example you can take from you, and inshallah, in the coming days, we wanted to take the proposal today afterwards as well. Based on his contributions, we want to see that we have another Nobel Prize for our Bangladesh, inshallah. And we want to make it demand for this first contribution. So may I request our honorable guest, Mr. Shahidul Alam, for his very wonderful and very wonderful speech for us. Thank you so much.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me. I'm sorry I don't know everyone. I'd like to get to know some of you over the course of time. Kipia and I met in Singapore quite by accident. We worked together loosely on various things. But I think I'd like to start by why I do what I do. I made a very conscious decision. I can see many of you are lawyers. In fact, I'm from a middle class family, and most middle class Bangladeshis, particularly if they're men, are directed by their parents to have respectable professions, which includes being a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, or something like that. You know? Nowadays, business is also acceptable. In those days, it was not quite so respectable. Now, I made a very conscious decision of becoming a photojournalist because I recognize the power of the medium. And I recognize that we lived in a very unequal world with huge gaps in power. And if I wanted to challenge that, then I wanted to work with the most powerful tool at my disposal. And at that time, I felt photography it is still a very powerful tool. I continue to use it. But if I was starting later, I would probably have taken on social media. Today, I would have taken on AI. I will work with whatever tool that works. I will sing, I will dance, I don't care what it is. I will take on the most powerful tool at my disposal. I'm fighting, and a fighter and a soldier wants to work with the most powerful weapons available. And that was why I chose to do what I do then. That is also why I do what I do as I go along. And I'll start with a little story about how the agency that I set up, BRIC, was set up and what gave me life like that. So it started many years ago. I was having an exhibition in Belfast, in Northern Ireland. And I was staying with Irish friends of mine in a small town called Newry, very close to Belfast. And my friends, Paddy and Deborah, Irish friends, they had a 5-year-old daughter called Karina. And they didn't have a big house. So Karina moved to mom and dad's house so Uncle Shahidul could have a room for himself. But I'm very fond of kids. And Karina and I, we were very good friends. We would tell each other stories. And, you know, she'd jump onto my lap, smother me with kisses, and we'd tell each other stories. One day, I'd come from the city, from my exhibition, back to the flat, and I had some coins in my pocket. So I'm just emptying the coins in my pocket, putting them on the table. And Karina, instead of running up to me and jumping to my lap, stood at the doorway staring at me. And I said, "What's the matter, Karina?" She said, "You've got money." I said, "Yes, I've got money." She said, but you're from Bangladesh." No, she couldn't make it fit. My parents were NGO workers, they helped Bangladeshis. And here was a Bangladeshi who had coins in his pocket. And I began to challenge and question myself in terms of how a 5-year-old grows up where her perception of Bangladeshi is just as an icon of poverty. There is no other definition of a Bangladeshi. All of you are established professionals, you have credibility, you are celebrated in your own space, yet the perception of Bangladesh still happens to be that of poverty. You know, we have, of course, there are many things wrong in Bangladesh, and there is poverty, but that is not our only definition. We also have culture, we have professionals like you, we have Nobel laureates, we have many, many things to be proud of. But the reason that is not known is because the storytellers are not us. The storytellers are generally white Western professionals who come to my country, they have diarrhea for 2 days, they take pictures on the 3rd day, and they regurgitate the same old stereotypes about my country. And that is what we are known by. So to change that, we have to become our own storytellers, because they will not change. They only are interested in telling that same old story. That is what they sell. If a different story has to be told, it has to be told by us. And that was the basis on which I set up an agency called BRIC, which was a platform for local storytellers. I later on discovered that if I'm fighting, I need soldiers. So I set up a school of photography, which has since become known as perhaps one of the finest schools of photography in the world. And it's the only school in South Asia which offers a degree in photography. It doesn't exist in Singapore, it doesn't exist in India, but it does exist in Bangladesh. And that continues to be one of the things that I do. And that brings me to why I went to Palestine, or why I wanted to go to Palestine. The reason this world is in a state in which it is because Palestinians are not considered human. Many years ago, a question was asked to Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State of the United States, where at that time 500,000 Iraqi children had been killed. And she was asked, do you think that's a price worth paying? 500,000 children dying. And she thought, yes, that is a price worth paying. Now, had it been 500,000 American children, it would never have been considered a price worth paying. But Iraqi children, they're dispensable, they're not human. We can get rid of them. Bangladeshi people are not human. Palestinians are not human. And in this conversation, it is not a conversation even of money. It is a conversation around racism. This entire project is a colonial project which continues till this day. When the boats arrived in North America and they wiped out an entire population of Native Americans, they could do it because the Native Americans were not considered human. When Germany murdered millions of people in Namibia, again it was not like that. When the Brits opened fire in Amritsar and other places to kill Indians, it was done because Indians were not the same as the white British. So it is white supremacy that we have to challenge. And that challenge has to happen at an effective mechanism. Now these are the same people who preach democracy to us, who talk about freedom, who talk about values. We have organizations like BBC and Reuters. We ask their journalists to come to us to teach us journalism ethics. Yet, these are organizations that have actively aided and abetted and endorsed a genocide in real time. And you and I, at some stage, these youngsters, I'm happy these young people are here, because at one stage they will ask us, how could this have happened? How did you let this happen to a group of people? Where were you? What was your action? So there is a lot of talk, big speeches being made, all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, as we're speaking, Israel is killing Palestinians. Today, even though there is apparently a ceasefire, it is happening today, and it doesn't matter. Because they will find an excuse. Oh, Hamas was there, they did something, we thought they were going to attack us, and they will get away with it. They started when, of course, it didn't start with the 8th of October 2023, it started way before that, in 1948. The Nakba happened a long time ago, and it's been continuing. And people will ask, will you condemn Hamas? In fact, if you're an oppressed people, if you're in a jail, if you're in a concentration camp, it is your duty to break out, to save your own people. And that is what Hamas was doing. They will be killed over time, and they did the only thing that repressed people can do, they fought back. Yet, that is now seen as an excuse, as a justification for killing 28 children every day on an average have been killed for 700 days. How can that be allowed? How could we allow that to persist in a world? What sort of a world are we living in where someone can do that and get away with it? I'm going to just turn this off, it's gone on by itself. So that was why I decided to go, because I decided words were not enough. And there would be speeches, there would be fancy talk, there would be one excuse after another. At the end of the day, the only thing you and I could do is put our body on the line. If words will not do it, I will take action. And the only action that was available was to actually physically intervene. The ship we were in was the largest flotilla from 2008 onwards till now. The largest vessel was the Conscience, where I was. And the Conscience had two types of professionals: media professionals and health professionals. The reason these two sets of professionals went was because these are the two types of professionals who have specifically been targeted by Israel. The maximum number of journalists and health workers in the history of world wars, in terms of concentration over time, has happened during these 700 days. Israel has specifically targeted journalists and health workers. Journalists they targeted because journalists will get the truth, and they don't want the truth. They want it to be suppressed. Health workers they targeted because health workers save lives, and they wanted genocide. They want to wipe out an entire nation. And wiping out these two sets of professionals was part of our effort. So we decided we would go in solidarity with our fellow professionals who had been working in Israel, in Gaza. Of course, Israel takes over the whole thing, it's occupation, so it's occupied territory for Israel. And what we wanted to do primarily was not what the Sumud Flotilla was about. Sumud Flotilla's justification was to give aid to Gaza. We took food with us, not primarily to give aid, but because we did not want to become a burden on the people in Gaza. Once we arrived, they had no food. And to feed us, we would need to take food from them. So we took extra food, not for the primary purpose of giving aid, but not to be a burden on the people of Gaza. But our primary job was to break the siege, to be there, to tell the story of what was happening in Gaza, and to save lives. To be with our fellow professionals. Now, you have to remember the type of people who are in this ship. I am not the center of this story. I'm not the hero. The real heroes are the people in Gaza. They are the ones who are fighting despite all this. They're the ones who have not given up. They're the ones who have shown us what heroism is about. They're the ones who provided the main inspiration that gives us the energy to go forward. Because even in this situation, after everything that is happening, the journalists and the health workers are still there today, fighting, saving lives, telling stories. They are the ones who have allowed us to know what is going on, because Israel does not allow foreign journalists to go. It's the journalists in Gaza that are, despite everything that's happening, they don't have food, they don't have electricity, they don't have internet, they still find some way to get those stories out to us. That is how we know what is happening. That is how the world knows what is happening. And those are the people we wanted to be beside. Those are the ones we wanted to support. Now, there was the person who gave me permission to join was a person called Huwaida Araf. She was on the first flotilla in 2008. She was again on the flotilla, Mavi Marmara, where 10 of her colleagues were murdered. She was back on our ship, going back to Gaza, knowing that 10 of her colleagues had been killed in the ship she was in previously. The ship we were in, Conscience, in May, it had 2 drone attacks. It was repaired and it went back out again. There were people on the boat, well, it's a ship, who had been working there. There was one gentleman, a Welsh gentleman called Leigh, who was telling me that every person that he had worked with in Gaza was dead. One person had just died 10 days ago. He was back on the ship, he was going. So that is the caliber of the people who went, because they were prepared to make that sacrifice. They were prepared to take on that challenge, knowing that they might be intercepted, they might be killed, they might never come back. And that is something we need to remember. That is that there are people at this moment in this world who are prepared to take that decision. Now, it is not an easy decision to take. It's obviously the dangers are there, but there are also other things to consider. Every one of us is part of a community. We have a family, we have friends, we have responsibilities. If I were to go, one of the things I had to worry about was what is going to happen if I don't come back to the people who depend on me. Am I taking enough precautions so that even if I'm not back, that they are looked after? That is also a responsibility. Yet, at the end of the day, this has to happen. Now, let me tell you about the people who did not go. This was a boat specifically designed for journalists. Not one journalist from mainstream media from anywhere in the globe went on that ship. And we have to ask that very serious question. You who preach democracy and freedom and ethics and journalism, you have been told that Israel will not allow foreign journalists. Here is a boat that's taking journalists. This was your opportunity to redeem yourself. This was your opportunity to tell the world, okay, they tried to stop me, but I found an opportunity and I went. And I did what a journalist should do. I will be on the ground, I will tell that story. I will take that risk. That is part of my professional duty. Not one person from the entire globe's mainstream media was on that boat. And that is why it is such a shame. One of the things that has happened because of this is that we now know. Of course, we knew before about white supremacy, about racism, but now it's naked. The speeches that they make, the grand statements that they make, they stand before us naked because we know that none of that is true. When they preach to us about democracy and freedom, we know they do not mean it. We know they do not see us as human beings. We know that they are racist people who are continuing the colonial exercise. The people who support them, primarily, you look at the countries that have supported them, they're colonial countries. These are countries that have gone all across the globe. Now, there was another thing to do. We knew what was likely to happen, so we prepared for it. We had lawyers, we had medical teams, we had a whole range of teams outside, some in Israel, some in Gaza. And we knew, for instance, that what their strategy would be when we were captured. The first thing that happened is, and it's worth remembering, they intercepted us way before any of the other ships. All the other ships had been allowed to get closer. We were intercepted way out because they were the most scared of us. Because of what we were trying to do, of what we were saying, what we represented. And we were picked up in international waters. So this is piracy, international piracy. Yet not a single country that talks about piracy mentioned this, objected to it. If the Houthis capture someone in the boat, suddenly they become pirates. When Israel does piracy, it doesn't matter. So this hypocrisy is something that is laid bare. And that was perhaps one of the things we needed to do. And I believe the genocide, though it is a fake genocide, they're still killing people, could only have happened because of the extra pressure on the entire globe. And that pressure is because of people like you, who've been in the streets, who've gone out there, who've protested, who've challenged, because the world leaders are not interested in this process. The world leaders do not care about what you think. The only thing that they care about, one, is the money that they get from Israel, because most of them are paid for by Israel, by AIPAC and other people. We talk about corruption. They're the most corrupt people you can imagine. They're prepared to commit genocide because of the money that they get. What else is true is the fact that in their case, the only other concern they have is their constituency. Because if their constituency is not prepared to support them, they will lose their power. And that is why, when so many of you young people have come to the streets, protested, they are taking notice, not because they care, but because they're scared of losing their seats. They're scared of not being re-elected. And therefore, as strategists in our fight, what we need to do is ensure that happens. We need to tell them You will not stay here. We will take you down. If this is what you're prepared to do, out you go. We have power. And one of the things we do not realize is that we have agency. Most of you are from Bangladesh. Sheikh Hasina was the most powerful leader we had had for a very long time. She controlled the police, she controlled the bureaucracy, she controlled the judiciary, she controlled the academia. Yet, she had to go. Because people were prepared to take that risk. People were prepared to come to the streets, people were prepared to challenge, people were prepared to say, I'm not going to stop. I will continue to fight, I will continue to resist. And if that is what each one of us is prepared to do, there's no Israel, no United States that can withstand it. And that is all I was trying to do. I was trying to break the siege. I was trying to put my body on the line as everyone else. There were 92 of us on that ship. We were prepared to do that as a statement of rebellion, as a statement of protest. And at the end of the day, that is what we must remember. Because, and I will end with this, I don't want to make it a long speech, the fear is a genuine concern, it's a genuine emotion, and when people have guns, when they have power, we're scared because of what they might do. And it is through fear that they control us. But people who are repressive tyrants have one big advantage. Their biggest weapon is not the guns, it's not the money, it's our silence. As long as we remain silent, they will have no problems. The minute we speak out, their position is challenged. But what happens to us? Why do we stay silent? Because in many situations we think, what's the use? They're so big, so powerful, what can I do? I'm one individual. And you retract, you give up. And the minute you give up, you become a cog in the wheel. You are also part of that repressive machinery, because repression is normalized. They no longer need to be repressive because you've done the job for them. You've decided you will not protest. You've given up. So the battle is won. If there is a football match and one side gives a walkover, the other side is won automatically. In 2014, we didn't have an election. They had 52% of the seats even before the election, a single vote was cast. So how was that a contest? And that is what's happening here. We are letting them win without giving up fight. And that is what we need to do. I think we need to remind ourselves, every one of us, that we have power, we have agency, we are able to resist. And collectively, we are such a powerful force that no leader in the world will survive if we are prepared to take that position. We have not taken that position. We've walked back, we've recognized their fears, we've chosen a life of comfort. We've compromised. And the minute you do that, they have the upper hand. So what we tried to do was very simple. We tried to challenge that hegemony. We tried to challenge that power structure. We tried to tell the world that we have agency. And we are the majority of humankind. When the G8 countries get together and make decisions, we forget that they're only 13% of the world's population. They make a decision which affects the farmer in the field in Bangladesh. But the farmer in the field never chose the G8 leaders to be their representatives. The real heroes of Bangladesh, you're all professionals, you've all done well, but really, if you think about it, the real heroes of Bangladesh are our garment workers, our farmers in the field, our migrant workers. It is their wealth that gives us the privileges that we have. Yet my country doesn't care about it. It needs treats it. It does not, even my own country people, the people in power, do not treat them as human beings. And that is a structure that we must change. Similarly, we have to start thinking, we have agencies, we have strength, we have power. Collectively, we are strong. And if we believe that, if we act accordingly, there is no power in the world that can stop us. And one of the things has happened because, not just because of what we did in the flotilla, but because people have been in the streets, people are protesting, there is a shift that is taking place. in the United States, in Britain, in many countries, including some European countries, and across the globe, there is a protest. The people out there are scared. What happened with us when we were in jail? We were defenseless. We had no weapons. We were unarmed. We were in jail. We were in cells. But I could see the soldiers. They had battle gear. They had machine guns. They had fear in their eyes because they're scared of us. They know they're in the wrong, and they know we have agency. And they are scared of us. And we need to remember that. If we come out there, they're the first ones who will run. And we need to take control. This world belongs to the majority of humankind, and I call them majority world. They call us developing countries, they call us third world countries, they call us least developed countries. I say we are the majority world, because we happen to be the majority of humankind. And if you're prepared to take that strength, if you're prepared to protest, if you're prepared to take control, there is no power on earth that can stop us. And that is what I invite you to. I think what I did was actually what every one of us in our own way needs to be doing. Whatever I can do is what I will do. And I will ensure that they will not get an easy ride. That's all I'm asking. Ensure that the oppressors, the repressors, the autocrats, the leaders of the so-called world do not get an easy ride. Because the minute I give up, the minute I go back to my comfortable home, the minute I start thinking, what's the use? The minute I start thinking about my career, my opportunities, my zone of comfort, they're in the driving seat because there's nothing to challenge them. We are in a very unequal world, and that inequality will continue to exist until we, the repressed, we, the suppressed, turn it around and we remind them of our own power. I'd like to leave you with that. Thank you.